Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your Week 6 start and sit video for the wide receiver position. Again, this is full PPR and half PPR. If it is standard, always ask us in the comments down below, and we'll be able to answer any of those questions you may have. Now, there are 4 teams on a bye this week. You've got the Lions, the Raiders, the Texans, and the Titans, so make sure you are prepared for those particular players. And again, if you have questions of who you should be starting in lineups, always hit up us in the comments, or of course, you can follow us on our socials on Twitter and Instagram. Now, these are your obvious starts for your wide receivers this week. These guys should be starting, again, whether it be matchup, whether it be they're just the dogs on their team, like they're the number one guys who are getting plenty of targets their way. These guys should be starting for you. Now, as far as my first good start, I have Darnell Mooney this week. Now, Darnell Mooney's going against the Commanders on Thursday night on Prime Video. Commanders have allowed the 5th most points to receivers. They've also allowed a touchdown per game and 190 receiving yards for receivers. If there's going to be a game for Mooney to turn it around, it would be this one. Now, I'm not saying he's a must start, but I like him as a really good sneaky start this week just because the matchup is really good for him. Fields has slowly gotten better, and I just think a lot of people have kind of given up on him. Most people probably have already dropped him, but if you still have him, I'm not saying put him in the flex just because it's a Thursday night game, but you want to have some stake in tonight's game. I like Darnell Mooney as a good wide receiver too. Another receiver I like this week is going to be Jacoby Myers going against the Browns. The Browns have allowed 27 points to receivers. They also allow 159 receiving yards as well. Jacoby, since his injury, had a 7 receiving catch game. On top of that, over 100 plus yards and a touchdown. And he's had a lot of targets his way. Right now, Zappe is going to be the quarterback for this week, and I think he's going to rely a lot on Jacoby Myers being the guy. And I liked Jacoby Myers last year. I thought Jacoby Myers was going to be a really good wide receiver this year, and he shows why. He missed those 2 games, but he still has had usually 8 to 10 targets his way each game he has played, so I like him a lot. Last guy I have as a good start is going to be Jalen Waddle. A lot of people have kind of given up on him. He's going against the Vikings. Last 2 games, he's definitely struggled with only 10 points in fantasy combined. But I have a feeling about this one against the Vikings. Look, Tyreek is hurt. He most likely will play, but I think that will play a factor and it's kind of hinder him a little bit. And I think a lot's going to go and fall on Jalen Waddle. Now, right now, they're playing with a 3rd-string quarterback after Tua and Bridgewater obviously are out with concussions. But the Vikings do allow 163 receiving yards. And they do allow a decent amount of receptions, about 13 receptions as a whole to receivers. So I like Jalen Waddle as being someone who's probably going to get targeted a lot, especially in the slot. And I just expect him to have a double-digit, if not 15-plus point game. I just like his matchup. I think this is going to be a good one for him. Now, as far as a receiver I'm not starting this week is going to be Devin Duvernay. Going against the Giants, Giants keep wide receivers to 26.3 points, which is 3rd in the NFL. They also only allow 10 receptions as a wide receiver core. Duvernay could be targeted due to Bateman most likely being out again. He's been missing practice all week. But I don't expect really more than like 10 points for his performance. He may be somebody you may have to start, maybe in the flex. Maybe if you do get points for, return yards and things like that. But I don't like Duvernay this week just to fill in for Bateman. Another wide receiver I don't like is going to be Christian Kirk this week against the Colts. Colts are the best against the wide receivers right now, keeping them under 120 receiving yards and only 9 receptions as a group. Kirk has struggled a lot this season so far. He had a great start to the beginning, but last week he only had 2 points. The week before that, only 8 points. And now you're going against another tough defense. I just don't expect the same performance out of Kirk like he did early in the season against them. The Colts defense has definitely outperformed themselves, and I just don't trust him this week. Another receiver I don't like this week is going to be Mike Williams. Going against the Broncos. Broncos are playing another primetime game. We get it. But this one is where I think, based off of the matchup, Mike Williams may not perform really well. Broncos have one of the better defenses. They're 2nd against the wide receiver. They very rarely allow a receiving touchdown. We're not sure what's going to happen with Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's still possibly going to play this week for the first time, which I think will play a factor in this one. But even if he doesn't, I still don't like Mike Williams being covered by Surtain at all this week. I think it's a really tough matchup for him. Now, as far as the sleeper goes, the first guy I have is Alec Pierce going against Jaguars. Jaguars are efficient against the receivers. I understand that. But Alec has the chance to replicate double-digit performance going against them, while Pittman is getting a lot of the coverage and the looks. On top of that, Jaguars have received and allowed a receiver to score a touchdown each in every single game. And this is one I think he can get in there. I expect him double digits. I expect him to have those 6 to 8 catches, 80 to 90 yard type of performance where he's going to get you, 15 to 16 points just based off of just straight volume. So I like him as a good sleeper. Another receiver I like as a good sleeper is going to be Garrett Wilson against the Packers. Now, this is a tough one because I don't quite see Jair Alexander covering Garrett. I think he's going to cover Elijah Moore or maybe even Corey Davis. I think Garrett Wilson is the better talent, but he has not played well, I would say consistently enough this season. But the Packers do give up a decent amount of receptions to the wide receiver, about 13 receptions per receiver as a group. And again, based off garbage time, this is where I think the Jets might have to pass a little bit more, and I think that's where Garrett Wilson kind of plays in that factor. Again, giving you at least a double-digit performance of 12 to 16 points. That will be a good flex play for you guys this week. So those are my start, sits, and sleepers for the wide receiver week 6. Hopefully this information kind of helped clear up some players you should be playing this week. Of course, all this can change depending on what your roster looks like. If you guys do have questions on who you should start and sit, always hit us up in the comments down below. We'll help answer any of those questions you guys do have. If you guys haven't already, make sure you check out our our running back and quarterback start and sits, and stay tuned to our tight end start and sit video as well. If you guys did enjoy the content, make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell is on. And of course, hit the like button. It is greatly appreciated. Yeah, check out our other start and sit videos. Make sure you check those out. Ask away any questions you guys have, and I'll check you out next time.